Well, we've known for a couple of months now, pardon me, the couple of months now that California, New York, and a bunch of other states were looking and kind of peeking into whether or not to launch a full-scale lawsuit to try to block the Paramount and Warner Brothers merger. Then last week, we talked on this show about it looked like they could officially launch that lawsuit within a week. And here we are today. It's now official. 12 states have come together to sue the blockbuster Paramount Warner Brothers Discovery takeover. They have launched the lawsuit. Now, there's a couple of key things that stood out to me in this article about the fact that these states have now come together. They have officially launched the lawsuit. These are some of the things that kind of stood out to me. First of all, is which states are doing it. And the 12 states in this lawsuit are California, Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, and Washington are the 12 states. And others may join along the way as well. But one of the key things about that was in that article that stood out to me was this quote here. A similar coalition, which included California and New York, of states sued to block, remember we talked about this last year, to block Nexstar's pending acquisition of Tegna, a deal that would merge two rival owners of local TV stations. The states succeeded in convincing a judge to pause the merger while the litigation proceeds. Now, here's why that is so important. They got that injunction to stop the merger until the lawsuit is finished over a year ago. I think it was back in May. Sorry, it was May of this year that they got it. The trial is set to start in June of 2027. They will have delayed, regardless of what happens in the lawsuit, they have delayed that merger from going through for over a year. The reason that is important is because some of you guys may remember, maybe you don't, that if Paramount does not close this deal with Warner Brothers by October, they are going to have to pay a penalty to the current Warner Brothers shareholders to the tune of $6.5 million per day. Let me say that again. They're going to have to pay out a penalty to the Warner Brothers shareholders if they don't close this deal by October of $6.5 million per day, aggregated across $650 million per quarter. And the last merger these states have held that thing up for well over a year. It's going to be well over a year. It's going to be well over a year at $6.5 million per day. Now, the Attorney General for California, Bonta is his name. He wrote an op-ed piece for Variety explaining why these states have come together to sue the merger and sue to stop the merger. And I thought it was very well put. It says this: by combining, this is key here, by combining two of the 5 largest film distributors and 2 of the 5 largest basic cable channel owners. This is key. Like when we talk about the merger, we often just talk about it in terms of, well, 2 big movie studios. But Bonta is pointing out this isn't just 2 big movie studios. This is 2 of the top 5 movie studios and 2 of the top 5 cable channel owners, all in the same deal. Now, for those of you who rightfully and understandably want to point back to when Disney took over Fox, remember, they didn't get all of Fox. Fox chopped out a whole bunch of stuff. That's why you still have Fox, the television station, that is not owned by Disney. That's why you still have Fox News, that is not owned by Disney. There's a lot of stuff there that was not in that deal that will be in this deal. Anyway, he says, by combining two of the five largest film distributors and two of the five largest cable channel owners, the resulting media behemoth would control nearly 1/3 of theatrical movie distribution and nearly 1/3 of basic cable channels. It would control more than 30% of the blockbuster release distribution that buoys the movie and theater business, and 50 of the most popular, get that, 50 of the most popular cable TV channels, spanning an unrivaled slate of news, sports, entertainment, kids, family, factual, and lifestyle content. Given that much power to one media company would wipe out competition, jack up prices, hurt the quality of content we're offered, and bring fewer movies and shows to our screens. Combining cable news channels would mean fewer journalists informing our electorate and fewer opportunities for Americans to hear the full breadth of information and opinions on a subject. Consolidation would mean fewer voices speaking truth to power and fewer documentarians, filmmakers, showrunners, producers, and writers and artists shedding light on important stories that too often go untold. That's a death knell for the film and TV industry and for our democracy. And that is the reasons being given by the Attorney General of California why he and 11 other states have brought this lawsuit to bear. Now, this brings up the question, guys, about what's going to happen. Because when stuff came up about the European Union bringing challenges, and when things came up about the UK bringing up challenges, I've always said, like, these could become problems, but I think they're going to overcome these problems. The big hurdle they're going to face is when the states bring a lawsuit. That's going to be the big hurdle. And while the European Union stuff is still going on and the UK stuff is still going on, this is the main event. The states bringing this lawsuit, I think, is going to be the ultimate main event here. So it's going to be in different stages. Stage one is going to be whether the states can successfully get the courts to bar the merger from happening until this lawsuit goes through and is completed. That is likely to happen. There's a long track record of examples of the courts are, generally speaking, very hesitant to allow a merger to just go through while litigation is pending. Now, it's not impossible, but the general precedent is courts will usually embargo deals from completing until litigation goes through. So I believe it is likely, not 100% though, not 100%, but it is likely they're going to get that injunction. And that by itself is going to put immense pressure on an already galactically debt-ridden Paramount to the tune of, again, once October hits, $6.5 million per day that they're going to have to pay to the Warner Brothers shareholders for not finishing this off. That's even if the litigation doesn't work and the states lose the case. Paramount is still going to be out $6.5 million per day, and this could hold them up a year. So you do the math. Now, guys, here's what I still think is ultimately going to happen. I think an injunction is going to be granted to block the merger temporarily while litigation proceeds. I think that $6.5 million per day is going to become a really huge weight around Paramount's neck. And what I think is going to happen is this. This is just me pure guessing, but, based on the information we have, and I've kind of said this before. I think at the end of the day, the deal goes through. But to get there, I think Paramount will offer several key concessions to the states to get the states to drop the lawsuit. What will those concessions be? I'm not really sure. Maybe it's them saying, we won't buy HBO. Maybe it's them saying, we will carve out CNN. Maybe it'll be, we'll divest ourselves of all their television networks. We really just want the studio. It could be any of those things. So, guys, what I think will ultimately happen here is I think The deal gets done. I think by the end of the day, whether it's 6 months from now, a year from now, whatever, I think Paramount owns Warner Brothers, but I think Paramount will make some key concessions that will satisfy the states to say, okay, as long as you're only buying these pieces and not all these pieces, we have no objection. We'll step back. So that's what I think is going to happen. I mean, I don't know. It could be that the states go for blood and just want to kill this thing altogether. And maybe it works, but maybe they do that and it doesn't work. Maybe Paramount makes some small concessions. Maybe they make some really big concessions. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways this could go. Rob, you saw these newest developments here and you read the article that Bonta wrote explaining why he and the 11 other states are bringing this lawsuit. What do you think about the lawsuit itself and how do you see this working itself out and resolving?
Well, I mean, you did a great job of breaking it down. The thing about all of this is I understand we're talking about a business that is getting smaller and smaller and smaller every day. And obviously the corporate interests, what you're dealing with is a lot of money and a lot of consolidation of the information that our world has access to. And I think what's disconcerting about all of this in a world where high tech is becoming just ubiquitous in every part of our lives, to see entertainment and information companies conglomerate in this way is disheartening and maybe disconcerting to a lot of people. So I understand why there's a lot of opposition when they see like news organizations combining and the actual, I mean, we live in a world where we don't even know what's true anymore. So I think a lot of this isn't so much about movies, although that's problematic as well, because we're going to be getting movies that are defined. The movies that get made are defined basically by one family. They're going to decide what two major motion picture studios are going to make, a father and son. That, I think, is the core of what the opposition about this is. And I think that's very valid. That said, this is a very expensive business that's been undergoing incredibly tumultuous times. Post-pandemic, Hollywood has been living very precariously. Even this summer, things that you would have thought would have made money at the box office aren't. That said, I think ultimately the control that a father and son could have over this industry is that's what we're really talking about. And there's a reason why for that reason alone, that's why the states are opposing this merger. Although I think it's going to happen because ultimately business wins out in America. And I think you're absolutely right. They're going to make a lot of concessions, especially when it comes to, I think the news organizations play a lot more into this than we're really thinking about. And whether Paramount can really make 15 movies for Warner Brothers and 15 movies for Paramount remains to be seen. What's Paramount even doing aside from Jackass? What are they making right now? Another Nightmare on Elm Street movie?
Jackass underperformed compared to, previous.
Yeah, that was too bad.
Of course it did.
That was too bad.
And we're looking. I mean, you have venerable institutions that are 100 years old that are going to be combined by a company that's put Jackass out and just announced a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Really? These are not visionaries at work here.
And again, I want to go back to this about, I often hear, and I get it, I really do. Some people will say, well, what about the Disney deal? Like when Disney bought Fox. And there are several major differences between when Disney bought 20th Century and what's going on here. Number one, back then there were more studios. So when Disney got 20th Century, that made it even more precarious to try to merge further because there's already now one less major studio.
Right.
But the biggest difference, of course, is that deal was really just for a movie studio buying another movie studio. That was it. This deal is about one of the largest streamers in the world. This deal is about 50 networks in the deal. Fox, again, I mentioned before, Fox still exists separately. You still have the Fox network. You still have Fox News. You still have a lot of the Fox Sports. You have FS1, FS2. You still, all that kind of stuff. We're talking about like major significant differences. And by the way, I had somebody write in the other day, guys, saying, how come nobody complained when Disney bought 20th Century? I'm like, are you fucking stupid or just 12? Because there was a lot of pushback.
12-year-olds are smart.
Yes, but they weren't around.
That's why he said or.
But they were really young. They were really, really young when that, because there was a lot of pushback. The unions pushed back, the DGA pushed back, the Writers Guild pushed back, the Actors Union pushed back. Of course they did, understandably. And it didn't go through. But there's so much more to this deal than even that one had. And so I can understand why the states are bringing the lawsuit. Again, I think like 95% of all lawsuits, this will end in a settlement. Only about 5% of lawsuits actually go all the way through the trial and get a judgment. Like 95% of them end in settlements. I think this one will be no different. I think the Ellisons will see their declining bank accounts by $6 million every single day. I think they will see a way out. And I think the states, when Paramount offers them a way out, like offers up some concessions, I think the states will go, listen, we can keep fighting this thing, or let's save the taxpayers' money and let's settle this thing, let them buy certain pieces and not other pieces, and we'll call it a win for everybody. So that's what I think is going to happen. It's not necessarily what I want to have happen, but that's what I think is going to happen. So we'll see. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? It is now official. 12 states have launched a lawsuit to block the Paramount Warner Bros. Deal. I still think ultimately it goes through with both sides coming to some kind of an agreement, but maybe it will, maybe it won't. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Guys, we want to take a second and thank a sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. Look, guys, we talk about mental health a lot around here and a lot more openly these days, but actually raising your hand and asking for help, it can still feel incredibly hard. I mean, we wouldn't hesitate to tell a friend it's good to talk to somebody, but society still makes us think twice when it's our turn. BetterHelp is working to bridge that gap. They are the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 6 million people globally with a network of over 30,000 fully licensed, high-quality therapists who work under a strict code of conduct. And the bottom line is that the data shows it works, holding an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for a live session based on over 1.7 million client reviews. BetterHelp handles the initial matching work for you through a short questionnaire tailored to your needs and preferences. Plus, their industry-leading match fulfillment rate means they usually get it right the first time, but if you ever want to switch, you can do so at any time. Don't let stigma stand in the way of support. Start therapy with BetterHelp. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/Campea. That's betterhelp.com/Campea.